Sexy people, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to She Speaks Live. I'm your host, Nikki Gilbert Daniels, and my co host, Lucia Ash, who is also my co executive producer, partner, friend. We are also joined by Corey Love, who is a lifelong friend of Maya Campbell, and Chuck Robinson, who is also a lifelong friend. They're part of her team and the people who kind of keep her together. And it is unfortunate, but we are in a situation now where Maya Campbell is, as I mentioned in earlier posts, Maya Campbell is suffering. Would you call it, Corey, a episode not unlike what Kanye may be going through right now and some other people may be going through? How would you
A-
classify that?
Absolutely. She is,
Yeah.
yeah, she's actually schizoaffective.
She said again,
She's actually schizoaffective.
schizoaffective. Can you explain to us what schizoaffective is exactly? I'm not going to pretend like I know.
So, schizoaffective means that she has schizophrenic tendencies. Like a lot of times she may hear voices, but she may not go as far as sometimes, like you can just see someone walking down the street, you see them punching the air. She's not that far as extreme, but she's like right in the middle between bipolar and like 100% schizophrenic. So that's what schizoaffective is.
Schizoaffective is between, but so she wouldn't be like, as we've seen certain people on the streets a lot of times you see with homeless people and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Even I think Diana Ross did a movie years ago, where
Yes.
she was dealing with it, so it wouldn't be that obvious, but it would show up in other ways.
Yes.
um okay, how long have you known Maya? Can you give us a little bit of history? I'm sorry, guys, wait, we just dove right into Maya. I'm so concerned and so ready to share, as it relates to this sister. We kind of just dove right into it, but let me give you guys a little bit of information that I have gotten off of NAMI. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That is the
You are.
National Alliance on Mental Illness, right?
Yes.
Many of us did not know. I personally did not know that this month, which is about over, is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And Maya's mom, author Bebe Moore Campbell, was very instrumental in getting that done. And it's just sad and ironic that we would have to be having this conversation about her daughter. But let me read more fact-based information from the NAMI website. You'll see. I'm sorry, wrong hand. You'll see over there that you can reach the NAMI helpline. It's 1-800-950-NAMI, NAMI, if you or someone you know is suffering, or you can text NAMI to 741-741. But just a little bit of background information: mental health conditions do not discriminate based on race, color, gender, or identity. Anyone who experiences the challenge of mental illness, regardless of their background, they can, I'm sorry. However, background and identity make access to mental health treatment much more difficult. The National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month was established in 2008 to start changing this. Each year, millions of Americans face the reality of living with a mental health condition. Taking on the challenges of mental health conditions, health coverage, and the stigma of mental illness requires all of us. In many communities, these problems are increased by less access to care, cultural stigma, and lower quality care, which are all things we're going to get into on this conversation on this day. CEO statement on racism: the effect of racism and racial trauma on mental health is real and cannot be ignored. That is the CEO, Daniel Gillison's, and you can read his full statement on the website. So they want you to know that you are not alone. NAMI, you are not, I'm sorry, NAMI's You Are Not Alone campaign features lived experience of people affected by mental illness to fight stigma, inspire others, and educate the broader public. Now more than ever, the mental health community must come together and show that no one is ever really alone. This campaign builds a connection and increases awareness with digital tools that make connection possible during this climate of physical distancing. NAMI supports all diverse backgrounds, cultures, perspectives, and reminding everyone that you are not alone. Please help us spread the word and support this advocacy and activities. The hashtag, which I'll put up, is minority mental health, right? So, what's crazy is that here in this month, and there's a ton more information if you just go to NAMI, NAME.org. So the crazy shit is that I'm sorry, y'all have to, this is y'all's first time on my show. I tend to be a little Detroit with my tongue from time to time, so I want to apologize to
No,
anyone
it's okay.
who feels offended by my ladylike language, but I'm just tired of this shit. It just really is something that is wearing me out, because I can't believe that there's still a stigma attached to mental health, and there's still this stigma attached to people who are crying out for help, like in the case of Kanye, like in the case of Nick Cannon, like in the case of Tamar Braxton, like in the case of our sister Maya Campbell. Maya Campbell was one of the first public outcries and public cases that we saw involving real serious mental health issues in the public eye. So, Corey,
Yes.
you love her. You have been her friend for many years.
Many
I want to hear
years.
from you. Please tell me, can you explain to our viewers, what how this started? Like, did you see the beginning? Well, you may not have seen the beginnings of it, but tell us what you know.
I've kind of been around from the very beginning. I've worked with the family for many years, working with her mother, her grandmother, her father, stepfather. It all started out. She was on the set of In the House. They got to episode 91, 92, somewhere in there, and UPN ordered to see if they could get to 100 episodes to go into syndication. Well, she went to set that day and she snapped like a complete episode, saying, swearing, saying whatever to people, throwing stuff. They called her an ambulance. That was the first sign of anything mentally happening. I remember reaching out to her at that time, and she told me that she didn't even really recognize the words that were even coming out of her mouth. She didn't have any control. So Maya being a little older than me, I didn't think anything about it. I'm like, oh, this is just a moment. But a lot of those little things turned into big things. And here we are today
Wow. So there was no going back to, tell me the name of the show again, that
in
where
the
this
house.
occurred. So this was in the house.
This was in the house, yes.
Okay. That's so interesting. Well, I'll tell you the story about when I first met Maya and how in awe I was of how beautiful she was and talented. A
Yes.
lot of people don't know Maya is a singer too. Like, she
Yes,
sang too.
yes.
But
Hmm.
um so going back to In the House in this episode that she had, so it was after a few seasons that she started to display it,
This
and were
was,
there people
yes.
on set, showrunners, people who expressed um concern for her then? I'm sure there were.
Yes, a lot of people reached out over time, but then she would get better. And then she would just fall off. And then she would get better. Things would be okay for like a year. And then there was the incident in, I want to say around 2001. She was living in her place, and I got a call from her grandmother. And she was like, they took your friend to the hospital. I said, why? What happened? She said, the police and the psych team ran into her apartment. It was gang graffiti all over the walls, broken glass, and they took her daughter.
Oh,
And
wow. So in between the time that she was on, was this around the time she was on In the House?
no, so
Or
this was
she
shortly
wasn't, she hadn't
after.
been working then. Okay.
Yeah, so right after In the House, she did roles like on Sister Sister,
And a
Beverly
couple
Hills
movies here and there. Yep.
90210. Yeah. 17 again, things like that. Yeah. But this was 2001 because her daughter wasn't even 2 years old at the time.
Wow. And they came in and they saw graffiti and just what they thought were unsafe
Out,
conditions, maybe.
out of control. And at that
Hmm.
time, um, she started losing everything. Her
Oh, okay.
cars got repossessed, everything. Luckily, her mother and father were really smart, like with their finances and everything. So they immediately jumped in, got conservatorship, and did all the
Hmm.
legal things at that time that they needed to do. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, Going back to her time in Hollywood, because I think that that is a big part of this conversation, right? And
Yes.
of course, by no means are we suggesting that someone's mental health issues we have to lay those issues at the feet of anybody other than, the people who are professionally trained to deal with that. But did she feel like there was anybody she could reach out to? I guess there weren't a lot of people. We were talking earlier, and you mentioned there were some other people who
Hmm.
you would kind of recognize had kind of been suffering around the same time. And was that
Yes.
just kind of swept under the rug, in your opinion, or
It was
what are your
extremely
thoughts?
swept under the rug. Let me go back just a little bit. Maya
Hmm.
went to Spelman. She actually went to the New
Smart,
York
smart girl. Y'all better
Academy.
listen real quick. Mai's a smart cookie. Don't
She
get it
is
twisted.
smart
But
as
anyway,
hell. She is
yeah.
smart as hell. Like anybody that really knows her knows she is smart as hell. A lot of people don't know she actually scored a perfect SAT score, by the way. So she went to the New York School of like Dramatic Arts, and from there, her mother said, "Hey, how do you feel about going to Atlanta? You should check out Spelman." She goes to Spelman, spent 1 year as a sophomore, and then the roll on in the house came. As great as that opportunity was for Maya, I have always said that I feel like I wish she would have finished college and lived life a little bit more. All her life has been Hollywood. So when it's time to focus on the real world, you know, she has no clue really in what to do. She has to be retrained all over again.
Mm. Um, so back to some of the other people, because I
Okay.
found this very interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and I agree 100%. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Whitney Houston conversation where she said in an interview she wishes that she had the opportunity to just go on an island and take a break and live her life with her baby. And that opportunity wasn't something that she could take advantage of for whatever reason. But back to when we start looking at women, and Chuck, feel free jump in on this if you have any knowledge of this. But when you look at women like Lark Voorhees, who we have heard is has suffered, and Gabrielle, come on, and I again don't want to out anybody because I don't believe in that either. But I think in order to get to a bigger issue, which is understanding if your talent is struggling,
Yes.
did Maia ever have any conversations with those ladies? I know they were closely connected in some of the same circles in terms of television.
No, I found it to
No.
be no. I found it to be very interesting
Mm-hmm.
that Lark Voorhees, who is mentally ill, public knowledge. Same thing with Gabrielle Camucho, and if I'm saying her name wrong, please forgive me. I've spoken to her family several times years ago, who is schizophrenic, um,
Wow.
public knowledge, and they all have some of the same traits. I don't think that it is ironic that these three black girls get sick at the same time on the same show. And an interesting fact is that show was filmed on the same stage as Different Strokes. And we know the history of that show too.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Well, that is an interesting fact indeed. And I think it's important for us to talk about it because I think it's important for executives at every level to just, make sure that the talent that you're hiring, especially since they reach so many people, um, not make sure, but just provide whatever resources you can to see to it that they get help. So Corey, hold your thought for a second.
Okay.
Chuck, Chuck,
Yes.
I am Papa Chuck up in this mug. So Chuck, we met when well actually we all met but I distinctly remember the day that Maia came, and I wanted to pull that conversation up, but I have a feeling this ain't gonna be the last time we talk about Maia, so I will later. But Chuck, you brought Maia to us to interview for From the Bottom Up, and Lucia was also executive producer on From the Bottom Up, and Maia needed her Chuck and her Corey, her Chuck or her Corey had to be present in all
Hmm.
situations. She was like, "Can he come in here with us?" We like, "No, we'll let him sit right there, But no, we gonna make you comfortable." Tell us about your experiences with Maya.
I've met Maya probably about 5, maybe going on 6 years ago. And I
Mm-hmm.
met her through a friend named Kia Jeffries. Big shout out to Kia Jeffries.
Okay.
And I run a nonprofit organization. And she called me, was talking about one of her friends needed assistance. So of course I'm not going to turn anyone down. Corey knows me well. I give my last buck to anyone who needs it. So we literally like chased her down in the streets, and I finally met her. My first time I met her, she was actually in rehab, and it was a a meeting set up for me to go and meet her. So when I walk in, the counselor walked me back. She opened the door. Maya is sitting there at a desk, hands folded like a teacher. I walked in together. She has this big smile, and she goes, "Have a seat." And I thought it was just so awkward. I'm being interviewed by her. So we sat down, we talked. I mean, and it was just like you would think that we knew each other for 50 years. I mean, it was just laughter and connection. And my first thought was like, there's nothing wrong with her. You know, what is everyone talking about? You know, so we talked a little bit. But you know, over the years, I learned that she's a great actress. She's a great use that in the streets to her benefits. So initially, she got me with with the little sob stories. I'm just like, oh, y'all leave her alone, and but like, you get to know her, and it's like, okay, you gotta kind of know what you're dealing with. But I mean, she's a sweet person, but I really think she's being drowned by these demons, and I know that the real Maya is still in there. And there's some. She was at my house one time, and it's a lot more detail, but I'll just give you the gist of it. She actually opened up to me. She about her whole life, from movie sets to the chauffeurs and how she was raised, and she talked about the voices. And when she talked about the voices, it got a little bit scary. It was like poltergeist, like, and I'm not saying that as a cliche. It really was like poltergeist to the point I had to move back because I got a little nervous. And when she touched on the voices, she talked about the whispers, and sometimes she obeys the voices, and sometimes she doesn't. And it's a lot. It's a lot more what people just see. They just think, oh, she's bipolar, she's on drugs. It's a lot more.
Right.
It's a lot more than that. It's a lot of layers that we need to go through to get back down to the true Maya. She's buried in there. She's still there.
Absolutely. Lucia, as a producer on From the Bottom Up, we kind of went through this process of Maya Campbell. That would be a great story to tell. And we saw her on Yanla Fix My Life, and we're like, yo, she's coming back. You know what I mean? She's let's get her to work. Let's get her distracted by, the thing that she told us that she loved most. What were your first impressions as a producer of a series that Maya was a part of, and the experiences that you had with her?
Well, I agree with all of you. Maya is very intelligent. She's got a great personality. And I actually went to Spelman and met her. We were in school together at the same time.
Oh,
And
wow.
I didn't have a lot of interaction with her, but I did meet her on campus one day, and we were there at the same time. But she, she's got a great personality, and she's smart, and she's loving, and she's kind, and she has demons, and she has issues. And I, for one, am a person who hasn't had a lot of experience with it. So I just wanted to try and be sensitive toward her and understanding. And I think all of us did, as a woman, as a Black woman, as a producer, as a person. And it was a difficult time, especially just to see her and feel for her, feel for whatever she was going through, not knowing and not understanding what it was. And I did want to contribute to assisting her in some way. Keeping her distracted, keeping her mind on work so she could try and be productive, if that would help her at all. And it, like I said, it was a difficult time, but I do wish that we would have been able to do more for her. I wish that I just hope ultimately that she gets the help that she needs, and it's not anything to do with the justice system, but more to do with the mental health care system.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Where
Which kind of leads me to this point. So, and Chuck, we had the conversation. I do apologize, Chuck. When we talked, Chuck reached out to me the first time Maya was arrested, which was what, a couple months ago, Chuck?
A couple of weeks ago. I think it
A
was
couple weeks ago. I'm sorry, a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Chuck. Can you?
I said, I think it was a
Okay,
couple.
I got you now. Yep. So a few weeks ago, and you get a little reluctant on some levels because you're just like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I can, you know what I mean, I don't want to like play with anybody's mental health stuff. Even though we talk about mental health almost, it seems like endlessly. It seems like everything I do, every show I create, we create, all the content that we're putting together, there's somebody who's suffering from mental health issues, either situational depression or things that happen to them as children. And I was really a little reluctant because I was like, well, what can we do? And then I'm like, you know what we can do is create awareness. What we can do is have a conversation about it. What we can do is tell the truth about what this sister is going through, because we we reach out via social media and send all these wonderful blessings of healing to a Kanye, to a Tamar, to a Nick Cannon. Maya Campbell's no different, except for the
Yeah.
fact that she is deeper in her behavioral health issues. So, can you tell us what is going on? Oh, and I wanted to add to Lucia's point real quick. For those of you who don't know or did not watch From the Bottom Up, the episodes are available on BETher.tv or BET.com. Also, I think, Lou, are they on Hulu, and they're on BET Plus, I believe. Are we on BET Plus?
I believe.
Yes. So we made the decision in tandem with Maia's team that if she couldn't get the help that she needed, as we started to see some of the things that Corey and Chuck are talking about start to manifest,
Mhm.
we were kind of like, she shouldn't be on camera exposed to other people who have issues that may not, it's just was a lot. And I specifically remember that there was one particular moment where she was like, I need Chuck. Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck? Call Chuck. Call Corey. I need them right now. And we were like, you know what? Let's get Chuck. Let's get the team. You know what I mean? Um, Tell us what is happening with Maya right now. Where is she? Um, Tell us what you know in terms of what she needs, or what we could potentially do.
Well, right now, she is in jail right now. Um, you mentioned, you know, the things with Kanye. And I just wanted to, if you don't mind, just touching that real quick. She is the beginning stages of what Kanye is going through now. So for that to be broadcast, for everyone to be watching this, I would like for everybody to realize Maya has passed that times 10. So I don't want people to forget about, Maya, because what they're witnessing on this national stage, she's been through it years ago. And yet she has not made any progress because the assistance is just not there. It's not.
So
She
you're saying where Kanye is right now, Maya was many years ago. And if that help happened then, she may not be as far gone as she is today.
Correct.
Exactly. And I think
Hmm.
the reaction was there to assist her. And I don't think she would have been so far gone. Just repeating what you said. I just don't think it's. I don't even today. I don't think she's too far gone to where she can't be rescued. But there's like what you're doing, making the awareness. That's what's needed right now. We need the awareness because right now,
Absolutely.
like outside of our little team, she's not even thought of anymore until there's a viral
Right,
video.
right,
And the viral
right,
video is never as a positive light. So that's not what we need. We need awareness whether it's a viral video or not. And that's not what's happening.
right. And I honestly think that a lot of what happens with these viral videos is the direct result of people who are mentally unstable judging people who are mentally unstable, because you have to have some sort of borderline personality disorder or behavior disorder to post videos of a black woman spiraling the way Maya is and laugh about it and think that it's okay, because we know in our community that there are so many people who are suffering. I have people in my own family very close to me. I have so many people that I know. I've suffered from, I thank God that I haven't ever gotten to the point of like severe depression.
Right.
But we all suffer from like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? What in life is, just, you know what I mean? Like, and to make fun of somebody who's going through that kind of pain and needs that kind of help is something that you should see somebody about. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful, nasty way. I'm just keeping the shit real. If you think mental health mental illness is something to laugh at, then you should probably get yourself evaluated.
I agree. I
Um,
I was going to say
Go ahead,
this
Corey.
too, really quickly. There needs to be more funding in people around the world being educated on what mental illness even looks like what the signs are. You know, we see videos all the time. Someone can be in Walmart doing stuff, and people think they're just crazy, but they could literally be having an episode. Well, if people don't know, they're going to pick on it. So a lot of people
Yeah.
don't even know
Rest.
what the mental illness actually, what a breakdown looks like, or how to even be supportive when your friend calls and they're like, "Hey, I don't want to be in this world anymore. I'm about to end my life." Like we don't even know how to handle anything. Like the first thing we do, no, it's okay. We're gonna pray about it. It's gonna this. We need to know exactly what to do, who to call, and we need all of this, and we don't.
And what you're praying about.
Algebra was on an episode of She Speaks Live, one of our live episodes, and she said something that made so much sense. She said, "You got our elders and grandparents and folks that say, just pray about it. Just it's gonna be all
Mhm.
right." She's like, "Yeah, we need prayer, but we need doctors too."
Yes.
And that's something that we need desperately. So, why is Maya in jail this time today? And I mean, I'm
Chuck
not being
Palahniuk.
funny. Like,
No,
what did she
Chuck,
do to become arrested?
because it's been thousands of arrests. But Chuck, you can you want to answer that one?
All right, so the reason I hate to be smiling because it's not a funny issue, but like Corey mentioned, there's been so many arrests, and this last particular time, um, there's one charge that's holding her, which we're thankful for because now it gives us a little reprieve to try to get the resources in place for her to walk into once she is released. Um, but the thing is, this goes back to the way the system is set up, and
Mm.
Corey talking about it uh, religiously, for you to get locked up over 100 times, whether it's misdemeanors, I
Has
don't
she
care.
really been locked up over 100 times? You think,
Yes.
or
She's
close?
Yes.
she's over,
Really?
Yeah.
she's over 100. So my
Okay.
thing is,
Wow.
at what point does it click that something is wrong? So you arrest her again, you hold her, and then you let her out again. You arrest her again, and so it makes me think who has the issues. When I see this young lady in my courtroom 100 different times and I release her again, at what point does
Wow.
it click that she needs help? She needs help. So just to kind of revert it back, you made a comment about the show. The reason she always screamed, I need Chuck, I need Chuck. Like I mentioned, when she opened up to me, a lot of that was just a matter of just sitting there and listening to her. She talked about everything. The psychiatrist came to my house and they evaluated her and they took me outside. They said for some reason she has a deep trust in me. So knowing that she has that trust in me, it's hard for me to walk away knowing that she's still screaming out for help. She
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
sat in the car one time and she cried. She put her hands on her face and she cried and she cried and she cried. And I let her get it all out. She turned to me and she said, "What the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I doing
Oh,
this? I am not a prostitute. I am not a drug addict." And I sat there and I just let her get it all out. I am beautiful. Why am I in this position, sitting right in my car in Stone Mountain and
Yeah.
pulled over just to let her get it all out?
Yeah. I had an incident like that with her at my house. We were in the living room, and she just breaks down crying. She said, "I cannot believe this is my life. What have I done to myself?" And she boohooed and cried for like an hour. She actually cried herself to sleep. It was just
absolutely.
horrible to watch it.
And this is
Yeah.
what people don't see. She's a human being and she's
Mhm.
out.
Absolutely.
But like Corey mentioned, when people see her on the street and she's having an episode, they want to plot the cameras and post it. Oh, look at her. She's just a drug addict. And they want to make fun of her. And, they're looking for that 15 minutes of fame by posting it so to go viral. But it's like, that's somebody's mother. That's somebody's child.
Absolutely.
That's
And the daughter of an author who
Yeah.
gave so much of herself, not just to us as an author with books about mental health, like 72-Hour Hold, which I'm reading right now, which is mind blowing.
Yeah, it
How
sure is.
close it is, mind blowing. But also did so much work with NAMI and mental. It's like she dedicated her life Bebe Moore Campbell dedicated her life
Yes.
to helping people with mental health issues, and her daughter is out here struggling on a level that most of us just can't even imagine. And everybody's like, "Oh, that did you see my ear? Oh, that's too bad." And it breaks my heart. It's like it, I don't want to do the comparison. No, I do want to do the comparison. It's like with Breonna Taylor, and like with Sandra Bland, and like with so many other Black women whose cases and situations have just been discarded, and like it just doesn't matter. And it's almost like, oh well, you're supposed to go through mental health issues, you're supposed to go through molestation and rape and all these horrible things, you're supposed to just woman up and deal with it. And it's just so sad because that is a human being and a talented woman and the mother of someone and the daughter of someone, and she deserves more than to just be laughed at and tweeted about and to be clickbait. So shame
And
on anybody, any blogger, any person who was taking advantage of her. So back to her charges. Let's have that
Sorry, we
conversation.
got away. I'm sorry.
No, I get it because there's so much to cover.
it's so
But what is
much.
she in jail for? Right? Why did she get arrested this time?
So this time she got a charge for loitering, resisting arrest, and felony car theft. So it's the
Felony car
felony car theft is the reason that she
theft.
will be held. Right now, there's no release date. She hasn't been in court yet. But right now, and again, I look at it like it's a blessing because every other thing that she's ever had was always misdemeanors. They hold her 2 or 3 days and she's back in the street. 2 or 3 days, she's back in the street. Back in the street. So now it's like that charge right now is sticking, and now again, it's giving us time to gather the resources we need to get her real help.
So
So let's talk about that. So I know that there's a sister in DeKalb County. Her name is Melody Maddox. She's the sheriff of DeKalb County. So I'm hoping and praying that we can use our resources
Please,
to reach out to the sister and see what we can do to get her the behavioral health or mental health help that she needs, because she doesn't need to be in jail. And if she stole a car, clearly she was going through something and having some sort of episode, and she doesn't belong in jail. I think that that is, I mean, to your point, Chuck, which I understand, it's better that she is in the safety, if that's what you want to call it, of jail, because you know where she is. And is she getting her medications? That's my other question. Is she being medicated properly?
medication.
no.
Well, they actually just
No.
they just started like yesterday. They said they were giving her medication starting the last day or two, but before that, no. She's been there a couple of weeks. She wasn't getting anything. She was just being held. So
Okay.
even with that, just to hold her really doesn't do any good either, because the issues are still weren't being addressed. You know, you
Yeah.
have to the issues, but the medication is just the beginning. So that's just started within like the last day or two.
Does she have family members outside of the two of you? Does she have siblings? Does she have any brothers and
No.
sisters? I
Mm-mm. No
no.
sibling.
Brother
And
No.
Bebe.
her mom is obviously in heaven. Her father or her grandmother, is her
So,
grandmother
so
still alive?
no. Like I've been around with
Wow,
everybody.
so
I'm
sad.
telling you, it's just a lot of this stuff. I'm like, wow. Like she has no living relatives outside of her stepfather and her
Oh,
daughter.
so
Like, think
sad.
her mother's gone. I saw her father die. Grandmothers die. All like I'm just sitting around watching all this. I was close with all of these people. There's no one left. That's it. And I mean, I keep in touch with her daughter consistently, just to check in and let her know, you're loved, you're important, because we don't know what she's going through. Not having your mother is very difficult, you know.
Yes, yes, yes. How old is her daughter now? I know she was pre-teens when she did Iyanla, so she's a little older now.
She's 19 now.
Oh,
She's
wow,
off in
yeah,
college and
yeah,
beautiful as ever, man. She looks
of
just like
course.
my it's so crazy.
Oh,
Pretty
yay.
Yeah, the
Well,
system has failed us so bad. The
it
system has failed
has.
us
Obviously, the system has
tremendously.
failed not just my ears, so many different
Oh
people, which
yeah.
is why it's important, you guys. If y'all are just popping in and joining us in this conversation, we are just having open, honest dialogue about what's going on with Maya Campbell, who is currently being held in DeKalb County Jail, which is not where she belongs. And this isn't about airing out Maya's dirty laundry. I think we've all been silent and respectful of some of the, really turbulent, awful things that she's experienced. But at this point in the climate of COVID and racism and people on the streets rioting and all the stuff that's happening in the world, the last thing that Maya Campbell needs to be right now is abandoned. Just as a woman of color who deserves her story to be told and heard. Lucia, do you have anything, any questions for Corey or Chuck or anything you want to
Yeah,
add to the conversation?
actually. So she's in jail now. They're giving her medication. What are the next possibilities? I understand that she'll go before a judge if she's found guilty of the felony charge. Then if she's convicted, then will they decide whether hopefully they'll send her to a facility versus jail? Yes? I mean, you
Yeah.
tell me.
Yes, but the problem is the state funded programs, they don't really help. She's actually going backwards. I mean, Chuck, as you know, we've been there. I've seen her to the point she's just sitting there and she's so doped up and she's nodding off or she's going to sleep on the phone with you because they just medicate them to the point of no return. Or, me and her, we would try to hang out sometimes. We go, let's say we walk down the street just to get something to eat. And she's like, I'm so tired. I just want to go back. Like, it's bad. Like, so I just think that we really need the help of the public too to try to get her into a much better place because unfortunately money runs everything, and with the
Yeah,
money we can try to get her into a better facility, better
yeah,
doctors. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Because trust me, Kanye West is not getting state funding or Tamar. They're getting that
Right.
doctor, the top 1% neurologist. You know what I mean? And help
Yeah.
get them back. And that is the level of care that she needs. I mean, I've said this, Chuck knows, for a long time. What is her real true diagnosis?
Mm.
You get what I'm
Very
saying? Like,
interesting. Yeah, absolutely. And
it's so much I could
has she
share, but
seen has she seen a special a regular doctor? Has she seen a doctor to do a breast exam, to do, has she seen an OB? What's going on? Is she healthy? Do we know that? Have they done that part?
that part I don't know personally. No.
Wow. Okay.
I'll tell you a little about that. Like, she's been in several state-funded programs, like Corey mentioned, and this is the sad part. Um, when she's in there, she normally clears me to get records or whatever or speak to him. I will call up, hey, did she get medication today? I don't know. Like, you are her personal counselor. How do you not have an answer?
Okay.
Call up, she did blood tests, 2 weeks ago. Do you have the results yet? Oh, I haven't checked. So do you even care? Why are you getting paid to be there if you have no clue about your patients? I
Wow.
give you these couple of days to call me back. You never return a call. I call back and you still don't know. So as
Okay.
Corey mentioned, she really does not need to be in a state fund. Actually, no one needs to be in a state funded program. But
Mhm.
as deep as she is, she will never get better by being in a state funded program. It's just not conducive to her success.
How is she supporting herself? How does she receive, like, does she, I mean, I don't want to, well, I guess
Well, no,
I'm
let's
asking a
just
lot of
say
her personal business.
thank God for her stepfather, who is
Okay.
her financial conservator.
Oh, good. Okay.
The blessing that he has been, he has a really successful financial firm,
Oh,
and
good. Okay.
back when a lot of the money was rolling in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, he bought her property. He said, look, while you got this money, you need to buy these townhomes, these duplexes. He oversees all of that stuff.
Oh,
She
good.
still gets
Okay.
like her residuals, everything. So he is a huge blessing in that and
Well,
regarding
that's
that.
wonderful.
Yes.
And
So
speaking,
go
can I
ahead. I'm sorry.
another thing, Curtis made me think of something else, as far as the support. And if there's anyone who happens to see Maya in the street, and this may sound bad, and it really isn't. A lot of people needs to understand this. When you see her in the streets and she's I need money for this. I need money to get back to California to see my daughter. Da, da, da. Please do not provide anything because she has to hit rock bottom to make that mental decision that I need help and seek it through another program. When she's walking down the street, and you're giving her $5 and $10 or buying her hotel rooms, she's never going to leave the streets because she's comfortable there. She's comfortable. When that money,
Does
I'm sorry, go ahead.
does she have a problem with substance abuse?
Yes.
Yes,
She does.
that's,
So
that's
which, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it a result of her mental health issues, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, is she getting help for that while she is in,
No.
incarcerated or
No.
wow.
And again, unfortunately, I said the system failed. Just this may have been 2015 or 16. I was trying to get conservatorship over her with a really close family friend to the mother. We did everything right. They had a judge that was going to come to the facility, sign everything. We would have had control. That simple. Someone went and signed her out the day before we had the hearing.
Wow.
These are the
Yeah.
things that we're talking about, like that has
Yeah.
happened, that has where the ball has been dropped, and we're like, I remember waking up that morning, I'm getting dressed, and I get a call, and they're like, she's gone. I'm like, what do you mean she's gone? Oh yeah, such and such came in here, and they picked her up and they got her. I was like, are you like this took 2 or 3 months for us to make this happen? I wanted to wring their necks at that
Wow.
facility.
Is there anything that can be done based on the fact that she's been in and out of jail hundreds of times? The fact that she has obviously bipolar disorders. What did you call
Hmm.
it? Uh, Tell me what it is
Schizoaffective.
again.
Schizoaffective.
Schizoaffective disorder, and some other things that'll probably be diagnosed by doctors who really give a shit and really, well,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna say that. I'm sure these doctors care, but
Oh,
doctors who are at a higher pay grade and they, take care of
uh-huh. We know.
people who can afford it. Um, so, oh, gosh, what can you do to see to it that I guess she's an adult, so you can't force her to get that help. Is that true, or is there something that you can do to kind of talk to a judge or talk to somebody? Lucia, do you have you heard of any situation where you can help someone even if they don't want the help? Which sounds crazy, but might be necessary.
I was told from a state employee that deals with mental health that it is not illegal to be
To
crazy.
be crazy. Yeah. I
So
remember that.
kind of renders me to feel
Oh,
helpless. Like, how did you
wow.
tell me that is not illegal? Like, she cannot take care of herself. Like, how could you allow your mouth to even say that? Like, that's crazy to me. But that's what I was told. Like, I was speechless. Like, are you serious? But that's what I was told.
So with her mom doing as much work as she did with Nami, is that something that you think if there's some outreach or something we can do? And again, I posted their information there for people who may need the help. But is that something you think would help make the situation better? Or
Well, the plan now is kind of trying to convince the judge to mandate rehab to make sure that she goes into rehab, not just back to the
like
street.
in her sentencing? So
Correct.
instead
Yes.
of sentencing her to jail, like sentencing her to getting help. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're in the talks now, trying to reach a judge to make it mandatory that she attends as a condition for her release. She
Okay.
she no one does, but she hates the jail. She call anybody she can reach to try to bail her out.
I bet.
She probably
I'm sure.
was 6 years old and she can remember the number just to try to get her out.
Poor
Right?
baby.
Yeah,
Because she doesn't belong there.
He
She doesn't belong
doesn't.
there.
really doesn't. But
Mm.
that's one of the things we were trying to make that a condition of her release. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it's a place that we of our choosing, someone that's going to provide her the help that she needs and not just be another holding place for her.
Yeah. Um, so do you guys have any sort of, as I mentioned, I mentioned this in social, anybody who wants to help Maia Campbell, you can send us an email to she speaks 5 at gmail.com, or you can send an email through From the Bottom Up Foundation or on the website if you are interested in helping her. If you are sending in donations and you're specific to this is for Maia Campbell or hashtag help for Maia, we will make sure that that gets to Corey and to Chuck. Do you guys have something set up already that is helping you with like legal fees or like the other things that you need? Does she have a lawyer? Does she have somebody that is trying to get her out of jail or speaking on on her behalf? Is that her stepfather or anybody?
No. No.
Wow. It's just
Court,
like,
court
and I get it.
appointed.
Let me say this disclaimer real quick. I totally understand people who have dealt with people who have mental health issues and substance abuse issues that have tried everything in their power to help and are just like, I'm exhausted and I got to take care of myself and I can't fall apart trying to save somebody else. So I totally get that, which is why it was important for us to have this conversation because sometimes it's to help the people that are trying to help the person that needs the help and get them some wind beneath their wings to help them figure it out, because I've been there where you just like, Jesus. I mean, I've been in hospitals with people who have attempted suicide in my family. I've been there and you just be like, oh, I can't, you know what I mean? That's some real human shit.
Yes.
But that's why it's important for us to support each other
Yes.
and to offer whatever we can do to raise awareness. So what can we do as former producers of the show that she was on? Ain't nobody got no money right now, but we got a platform and we got a way. We might have a couple coins to throw together. But what can we do realistically to help her get more help? Is there, I know free help isn't the best help, but do we start with the free help? Do we create a go do you create, because I'm gonna leave that to her, people who've known her for many years and she trusts, a GoFundMe page? Like, what happens from here?
I think a GoFundMe would be great. That would be the best way for people to support for us to get her into a more reputable facility, like you said, with the better doctors, the better treatment. And I think that's the start. I think that we would see a drastic turnaround if we were able to do that. There's a huge
Okay.
difference with those. When the doctors are better, the patients are better. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I,
absolutely.
and I,
Absolutely. Opinions matter. Well, I'll definitely have a conversation with Lucia and Christine Beatty, who are on the board of our foundation, so we can figure out how we can do the link to the page. Obviously, you guys care about her. You've been in her life. We've seen her interacting with you, so we know you have her best interest at heart. I'm sure everybody wants to make sure that every dollar raised goes towards either helping Maia or helping someone else in that situation. Because again, we can't help Maia if she doesn't want to take or receive the help. I reached out to a couple people that I know that work in this space, the Center for Black Women's Wellness, which is an incredible organization here in Atlanta. Please support the Center for Black Women's Wellness if you can. I reached out to the people who run that organization, and they're exploring. They're looking to see if there's something that they can do or some referrals that they can make. Again, as I mentioned, it will require her being willing to accept that help. I reached out to Shanti Dodds, who has an organization called Silence the Shame, and a couple other people who are just like, let me pull together some resources and figure out, I'm sorry, what we can do to try and help her, because we all love Maya and we want her to get better so desperately,
Yes.
because she deserves that opportunity in her life. And now that we've caused all this attention to all these other people who are going through it, we cannot just leave our sister by the wayside. And it's National Minority Mental Health Month, which we didn't know that shit.
Speak
And
more.
shame on the hashtag people for not letting us know and making that important thing throughout the month of July. We had to discover the hard way with half of our entertainers deciding that they, you know, can't take it. And that's some bull.
Yeah.
Lou, anything else?
Uh, have you all identified a place there in the Atlanta metro area where she can go?
well, I did talk to.
Actually,
Okay. Okay.
no, go ahead. You can go ahead.
I was gonna say it was someone else that's close to her as well that identified one in Conyers, and I just want to get more information before I kind of put that name out there. So it has to be a place like I was expressing to her, a place that she can't just walk out. She knows the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
reason her mom wrote the book 72 Hour Hold. She knows they can hold it for
Yeah.
72 hours, and she's free to go. and she uses
Wow.
that to her advantage as well. 72 hours, she's gone. So as long as it's a place that she can't just go at her free will, then that's the type of place that we need, and that will actually provide the help that'll battle her illness.
Okay.
So
And
if she's sentenced, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
outside of her going voluntarily, the only other way is for her to be sentenced or it be mandated that she go to a facility. Is that how
Correct.
it works? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
I don't know how much time we got left, but just a quick story. I know we
Yeah,
went at it.
sure.
Quick story though. You mentioned, her voluntarily wanting to get help. I've only known her one time to actually go and seek help for like a long term. It was a rehab downtown Atlanta, and she had been calling me weekly for 3 or 4 weeks, saying, I want to go to rehab, I want to go to rehab. And you hear it so much, it becomes redundant and kind of hard to react every time she says it. And she kept, but this time she just kept calling every week. I want to go to rehab, I want to go rehab. So she said her exact words is, I want to go to church first, and then I need you to take me to rehab. So I'm just thinking like this is different. She's never asked to go to church first and then go to rehab. So I said, okay, cool. So that day comes, take her to rehab. She goes in rehab for the 3 days. So after that, there was an aftercare was set up down at the Atlanta rehab. So one rehab, I told them, let me know. I'll come get her. I'll take her to the other rehab. They said, okay. Some reason they put her in an Uber. Why they put her in an Uber, I have no idea.
From a rehab?
From a rehab to another rehab, you giving her a Uber to go to another rehab. So I said, you know what? Let me try to track her down and find what she had. So the director at the receiving rehab calls me. Where's Maya? She's supposed to be here. Look, I don't know. They let her go. Da, da, da. So she's standing outside. She goes, there go Maya. She's pulling up in the Uber now. So I'm here. I'm listening to the conversation. She's calling Maya. Maya, Maya. There's a drug dealer that came up. Maya got out and was walking into the door of the rehab. There's a drug dealer outside, drugs in his hand. Come on, I got you. Need something? I need something. And it just took over her brain, and she just went the other way. She literally got out the Uber,
Wow.
walking into the rehab on her own. And that's not her. The director called her, Maya, Maya, no, don't go, don't go. And she to the fact that she took the Uber to there and got out and was going in, I really believe that was the one time she was going to give it a legitimate shot. She did not have to,
Yeah.
could have told the Uber to go anywhere else. But she went there, she got out, and she was in the doorway, and the drug dealer was showing her drugs and just took her back out. And
Wow. Like the devil.
yep,
Right.
Like the
I,
devil.
I flew down there, down to Atlanta, and she was in a parking lot, and I'm pleading with her. Like, Maya, don't do this. And she looked me right in my eyes. Now, for the years that I've known her, she knows I know she was on drugs, but she always denied it to me. She never wanted to look bad in me or Corey's eyes. She just wanted to make it seem like she was still innocent, not doing anything. She always denied she was doing drugs. That was the only time she ever looked me in my eyes and said, I need one more hit and then I'll go. Her exact words. And
Wow.
everything in me just dropped like, oh my God. I pleaded with her right there in the parking lot, please do not do this. She ended up turned and walked around with the drug dealer. Me and him got into a verbal argument, and
Wow.
she just walked around the corner with him. And that was like heartbreaking to see her tell me I need a hit.
And I imagine that that's why you say her being in jail is actually not a bad thing because at least you know that she's not on the streets with
Right.
demons and drug dealers and without her medication. But again, jail is not where she belongs. She belongs in
Right.
a mental health facility. So, wow, this is heavy and deep and sad, but I think there's hope. I think if we just keep driving the point home that she is a human being who has contributed a lot to entertainment and someone's mom and the daughter of an author who was an advocate and fought for people's mental health for many years. that there are enough doctors and celebrities and people in this world that we can be praying for her and lifting her and being active and figuring out how to help her. So where do we go from here, guys? What would you recommend the next step be? Do we obviously there's the GoFundMe for Maya to get the proper help that you guys are setting up for her. Is there anything else we can do in terms of, because a lot of times, even if we don't have the financial support, people would be willing to offer pro bono services. There's so many great mental health therapists. There's one on YouTube who was just saying that they're a mental health coach, although I think that she needs someone who is trained in clinical depression, right?
Yeah.
And alcoholism, I'm sorry, drug addiction. Um, Maybe someone will be inspired to help. Maybe someone will be inspired to offer services and resources to help Maya. That's the reason for this show tonight.
Yeah,
So we can
we
share.
yeah, accept that. Somebody has some pro bono services they can recommend, or anything like that. We're definitely willing to accept those and entertain that. Send us emails with referrals. If those are out there, someone who can offer the help. We'll make contact if you just send it to us. We don't mind at all. Whatever it takes to get my sister some help. We all for it.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. Absolutely. I I applaud you brothers for the work that you have done to try and help Maya get the help that she needs. I know that it's not easy. I know that it's probably impacting not only you but also your families who watch you go through this journey with her. But thank you guys for being, black men who are in this woman's corner, and reach out to me and reach out to Lucia and reach out to people who have worked with her in the past who want to try and help her get through this valley. Because it's unfortunate and it's scary that black women can be so disregarded and disappointing, So I have a question though, and I've been real curious about this. Her mother's books and her mother's estate, and the fact that her mother wrote books dealing with issues like this. Who, and if I'm getting too much in the business, y'all feel free to let me know. But who would be the person that would see to it that, like, there's a movie made on 72-hour hold so that people can see what her mother was trying to talk about, and maybe some of those resources could go towards helping Maya. Is that something that her stepfather is
That's the
handling, or how does
stepfather.
the
That would be the
stepfather? Okay. So he would, and if you don't mind me asking, what do you think his idea about, is he just in a space where he needs a break, or he is just too much for him to deal with? Like, what's going on with him right now?
I honestly don't know. I think running the idea past him wouldn't hurt.
Hmm.
You never know. I mean, I'd much
Because
rather him
maybe
say
those are way.
flat
I'm
out
just
no.
thinking about all kinds of different ways. Like, so
Yeah,
maybe ways to raise, like, you do the film, or you do a certain amount of sales of the book or whatever, and it's attached to help for her daughter. I know that lady would, not that lady, I know that amazing, incredible author and activist would be willing to, utilize all those resources to help her daughter get help,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
is that a conversation that maybe,
I
you would
would,
be
I would
willing
love
to
to
entertain
entertain
with
that
him?
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, just thinking of ways
Yeah,
that we could
absolutely.
possibly change stuff.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
on the table. I mean, we shut nothing out. If it's
Yeah.
a tool that's used for positive energy, then absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, shoot, I'm sure everybody would go see 72-hour hold if it was in theaters, and
yeah,
especially if a portion of the proceeds went towards helping Maya and helping Maya's daughter, Bebe Moore Campbell's granddaughter, with her college expenses and all that other stuff. Those intellectual properties yield results in finances. You see what I'm saying? So this woman has worked her butt off. So maybe there's a way that it could be set up the right way so
yeah.
that Maya, her children, her children's children, generational wealth, generational health, mentally, physically, and spiritually, can start to occur.
So
Um,
I agree.
let's Corey. We'll have that conversation. The context to see if that's a possibility. But let's say we have a part two, and we can just update.
let's have a part two. Lucia, I would be willing to produce that movie. What about you? I mean, and that wasn't even the intent. Now, come on, that wasn't the intention. But I'm
Yeah,
like, we're throwing shit up against the wall to see what sticks.
great
And
idea.
you know what I mean? I'm like 72-hour hold. People just don't know. And thank you guys for informing us on some of the things that can happen. And the other thing, I could be wrong, but the other thing that I think is that Maia would probably welcome the idea to be a part of something in a creative space, as long as she's getting the other help that she needs
Right,
to
absolutely.
serve as a distraction in the process of her healing through all that other stuff. Yeah, we know the end game is that she's got to get help here,
Right.
here, and here. But in the process, sometimes if you're distracted by something that you love, and we all know Maya, she to this day, like Nick, I need to such such. I'll get a text or email or a DM from her like, yo, when are we gonna start filming again? I'm like, show's over, me, Maya. It's a wrap. But all that to say, we're praying for her. And if you're watching out there, thank you for watching She Speaks Live on SheSpeaksLive.com, noego.tv. We're just a little, you know, show that wants to get the information to the people and wants to bring awareness to issues that impact our lives every single day. And Maya Campbell deserved this hour that we gave her because she is a beautiful, talented, deserving woman who is the child of a woman who fought for mental health advocacy and mental health in minority communities for years and has a daughter who's in college making great things happen. And all I need y'all to promise me, since we put this platform out and we start talking about this GoFundMe for Maia's mental health, if Maia chooses not to take the resources and the help, that whatever money is raised goes to her daughter and her education.
I agree.
Can we agree with that? Just
Oh yes,
handshake on that.
yes.
Um, and I think we should be trying to help her in that regard anyway. And please let her know. I know I'm a perfect stranger to this girl. She is a perfect stranger to this girl. But if she ever feels like she needs to talk or vent or share, we're here just as big sisters, aunties, if she needs anything, just a conversation, Um, because I can imagine what she's going through. I went through those issues with my own mom. Not quite as severe, obviously, but I can only imagine. It's
Yeah.
tough. All right. Well, I thank you guys for being here. Is there anything else y'all want to share before we get off this sucker?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Corey. In spite of being a little hoarse, you sound good. You look good. Everything good.
Thank you.
What about you, Chuck?
Appreciate the platform to get it out and put the issues out there. And at this point, I just think we need to keep pushing just to continue to create that platform.
Yes.
Doesn't need to be forgotten. Doesn't need to be pushed to the back. We need to just keep pushing forward to bring our friend back. Whether she's in a limelight or not, she just need to live a normal life.
That's right. That's right. What's most important is that she's there to see her daughter graduate college and live a happy long life and see her grandbabies. And Maya's a young woman, so she still has every opportunity to do that. Lou,
Absolutely.
anything you want to throw into the can before we get up out you?
Thank you, Nikki, for doing this.
Absolutely. Maya, one day you'll look at this and you're gonna be like, what they ass is doing on live talking about me? Sister, we are talking about you because we love you and we don't feel that there's a need to be. You'll look back and see what's happening with Tamar and Nick and everybody else and be like, oh, I'm not alone. And like they say on the NAMI site, if you or someone that you know and love and care about is going through some mental health issues, please reach out to someone. There are various sources available, but you'll see down in the corner. I keep pointing the wrong way. Oh, it's supposed to be that way. I'm supposed to point that way. Call the NAMI hotline, 1-800-950-NAMI, or text NAMI to 741-741. If you are in crisis, do not be ashamed. Silence the shame. Follow Shanti Das, silence the shame. Anybody. Most people are there and willing to help. So we love you, Maya. We
Yes.
are gonna have another conversation. We're gonna follow up, see how we can get that 72-hour. And don't you what you call them, co-opers and culture vultures and all of y'all get no ideas. 72-hour hold. Don't
Right.
get no ideas. Y'all know we trying to help this lady with her mama stuff. So don't get the you know snatching up and trying to grab rights and carrying on. Y'all need to talk to her father today because we live and folks is real crooked these days. No, they're not. Yes, they are. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank y'all for watching She Speaks Live. Please visit our merchandise store. You can get this shirt, Rewrite Her Story. Oh, wait, I got to plug real quick, real quick. My mask. Black Mask Matter. Wear your mask. Keisha said wear it. You need to wear your mask. We got that 90s R&B. Woo,
Yes.
woo, woo. 90s R&B mask. Y'all see that? We got that 6 feet. You need people to be 6 feet. I should have done this a real commercial. You know how they do on the professional people and everything, but I had to just do it with a K, with a K, with a K. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we will be back soon to talk more about Maya and Campbell. If you want to help, what's your email? At Papa Chuck, at
Hey,
I am Corey Love, or send us an email, shespeaks5.com. Thank you to my guests and my co-host. All
thank you.
right, y'all. Have a
Queen.
good night. We love y'all. All right.